Thinking about how to look more attractive? It's time for some real old school style inspiration with throwback to the 60s fashion. I recently watched Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor and my eyes have been cleansed with beauty, and I must share with you my findings. I compiled a list of consistent styling tips shown throughout the movie that I found incredibly flattering and attractive. Why is this relevant now, you ask? Well, because if we understand the details of the effects created, we can reproduce them in our current outfits to benefit us. Ever since hearing about this movie, I've been curious to see her world-renowned beauty, and it doesn't disappoint. I could not take my eyes off her. She's dominating every single scene she's in. Now, I do want to mention that in some segments, she wasn't toothpick skinny with zero body fat, as you would expect from a world-renowned movie actress of her caliber in the 21st century. Oh no, back then, real women figures were featured on screen, and even though I'm sure the scrutiny to fit this perfect image was live and well, this detail made me even more interested to see how they dressed her to look like this beauty goddess character she played. Now here we have the perfect example of a voluptuous woman with her curves on full display. It was refreshing to see, so I'm stealing the secrets for us. Sharaf, her designer for the Cleopatra role, had won the Oscar for the costume she made in this movie. She described Elizabeth as, and I quote, "She was 5'2" and had difficult proportions, high waist, large bosoms, short arms, no behind, and wide hips. I was not awed by her," end of quote. Reading about Elizabeth, I found her to be so relatable to many of us. Dieting was a big part of her daily self-management, and even more so for someone on screen. It's encouraging to see an example of someone speak up on the topic, which is real and relatable, but even more interesting is to see a petite, voluptuous woman fit the role of a seductive heroine. Now let's see how she managed to awe us. First was the waistline, tight and emphasized. You know, the vantage point of being so far away from the era of the 60s is that popular trends from back then stand out now since fashion is continuously changing. It's obvious to see now what was trendy then. The tiny waistline was incredibly tiny, even by normal standards that I'm used to seeing now. And I'm not talking about the corset-made tiny waistline. That one we know can reduce the size of the waist dramatically. I'm talking about a tight dress that looks modern and naturally flowing down with a small waist. The dresses were fitted tightly around her waist. One way to know the waist is pushed down artificially is when the organs are pushed either up or down and you see a small bulge under the waistline. Now my point here is the dramatic effect that it produced on the outfit. I must say this is the first thing that stood out to me so much, because when we think of the feminine body, an attractive body, dressing the shapes in a flattering way is everything. The pointy bra, my goodness how straight the bra was standing up, and I can't believe how attractive this looks. Logically, I'm trying to understand why do we have this pointy mountain peak shape to begin with, and it's because it gives form to breasts in a way that they look perky and youthful. You know this look, it was back when we were in our early 20s. Oh, those days are so far away, but you know, it makes total sense. Now, it wasn't too exaggerated, such as the bullet bra look, and I really like the combination between the two, the small waist and pointy bra. At the same time, I took note of the handsome Mark Anthony character, because behind the scenes they had their famous personal love story. And watching the fit Roman body structure, the difference between the man and the woman physique was made very obvious, as the woman has the pronounced curves. Now the effect created is the slope measurement. If her tiny waist was the valley up to the peak of the mountains created by the pointy bra. This slope is where the secret lies. Visually, it creates an instant curve, a dramatic effect of look at me, I'm fit, I'm attractive, all without you ever seeing my skin. Now let's think about our own body shape. As we age and motherhood speeds up this process, the breasts become heavy, the skin subsides under the weight, and the skin stretches out. The youthful bosoms become saggy under gravity. Now the abdomen also takes a few inches in diameter, and all of a sudden that gap between the tummy and the tip of your breast is smaller and less pronounced. I would even argue that the extreme of this is when they flip proportions and the belly becomes taller than the breast. Now, knowing this, we can truly appreciate the amazing valley to mountain effect that is emphasized in her every outfit. The good news is that if we really need to create this effect ourselves, we can. all thanks to shapewear and belts to minimize the tummy and shaping bras for the top. Now please allow me to elaborate more on the whole bra situation. A key difference between bras in the 60s and now is that they emphasize the shape pointing forward versus the current push-up bra, which redirects the nipples upwards towards our neck. It's two different directions. The pointy bra provides lift from the sides versus the current push-up gives lifts from the front. The bras today are smooth, especially if we think of the t-shirt bra, but I find them flattening. If you look from the side view, we are squishing them against our chest and not in a flattering way. Now, does it mean that we need to run and buy pointy bras? Of course not. We won't find many on the market. I already looked around, and not that many options, if any. They're mainly targeted towards bigger busts, but it's something to consider and try out. At least now you know what to look for. Cleavage. Now, if you thought that what I described so far was attractive, guess what she did next? Oh yes, she took it to the next level by adding another seductive element, the plunging neckline. I mean, here there's not much to say. This was straight uncomfortable to look at some point, but you know, maybe I'm a prude, but in some settings where she was with Caesar talking to senators, it was a bit not the right time to play the sexy card, but that's what the character was and it worked. So if we think of her as the goddess of the ultimate fantasy, she pulled it off very well. Do I recommend this? It's up to your personal taste. I did like that in terms of the rest of her body being revealed, she strategically hid everything else to create another effect, which is coming up next. But before this, I do want to mention one quick detail that I picked up on. She had her deep plunging neckline showing the entire time. However, in one scene where she was threatened in Rome, she took her veil and covered herself, her cleavage. It was the only time she did this move in a 3-hour movie, and it makes me think that her character was well aware of the effect it had and how she used it as a deliberate tool for her brand image. Floor-length gowns. After learning about her height, that she was 5'2", it made total sense why she was always wearing floor-length dresses. It could most likely be that fashion at the time, up until 100 years ago, involved long maxi dresses. This look was very flattering in her body shape, and she could have even worn heels underneath. No one would have known. The flowy materials used were also delicate and feminine. Now, unfortunately, floor-length dresses are not popular or very practical right now, but you can make it work for you with a maxi dress in the summer. The winter version can also be worn as a boot-length sweater, A-line dress with matching heels or boots for an elongating effect. Now, to combine the three elements I shared so far, we have the pointy bra, thin waist, and long dress. All three combined maximize the effect of a feminine, voluptuous woman, emphasizing curves and shape. Her character did talk about this at one point when convincing Caesar to father her child, describing her own forms as the right attributes of women able to create life. Next are colors. The amount of colors that in her outfit was fun and refreshing to see. She stood out again because of this, even in the crowds, even when turned with her back. It's always nice to see color in a predominantly black sea of outfits. I'm guilty of this myself. Therefore, ladies, if you want more attention on you or to stand out easily, wear monochromatic bright colors. Jewelry and hair accessories, outstanding. She clearly had wigs on because the length of the hairstyle varied, but the hair was always accessorized with heavy jewelry. Now, how do we bring this into our own relatable fashion? Well, probably through hats and lots of jewelry. Bracelets and arm cuffs in the summer would be easier to notice and wear, but I haven't seen it being used in such a feminine, seductive way. If you wear gold or something shiny, its light is enough to catch the eye, a quick glimpse that the onlooker sees to spark interest, even for a second look of, what's that? It's the nonverbal cues that we pick up on and give the owner the aura of that there's something different about her. Can't put my finger on it. Makeup. This was outrageous. It was created with the purpose of shock to allure, and I must say it worked. I could not stop staring at her eyes and tried to decipher what was so mesmerizing about her. Here I would also point out that her eyes were out of the ordinary white. Not sure if Visine was invented yet in 1963, but she also looked like she had some on, and the eyes were clear and looked so much better. I tried to use it before filming videos for for you as well, mainly because I wake early and have red eyes, but you can use this as well. I don't recommend it on a daily basis. I know there are now healthier options out there, such as Lumify, and this is my day one. Let me know if you tried it and how it works for you. Given that this character was dramatized, I wouldn't wear half a pound of makeup a day. You know my stand on it, but I also know that in some cultures it's the norm. It's also a good tool to have if you perfect your mastery of it. Ladies, we all have that one nighttime makeup look we know gives us the wow effect. Use it when you need it. I also recommend searching for the right shade to bring out your eyes. For example, for blue eyes, you have gold or brown shade that make it pop. For green eyes, red and purple shades are the most favorable. For brown eyes, you have the cobalt blue and turquoise shades. And this, it's no wonder why most of her makeup was heavy on the blue, again, strategically combined to emphasize her eye shade. It's up to your personal preference. I hope you enjoyed my take on analyzing Cleopatra's character and found some tips that you can apply yourself to flatter your own body and look more attractive. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're new. Now, if you're interested in more styling secrets of icons, you will like my next video where I share the fashion tips I learned from Princess Kate. I'll see you there.